Hi there, welcome. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me. I hope you have a cup of coffee or something cozy. I'm set up in my living room today. It's also blue. I thought you might want to see a little bit of decorations, and I am going to show you some Christmas ornaments later. So I just wanted to start off by just thanking you for coming back and thanking you for joining me if this is your first time. And just, yeah, I just really wanted to say how nice it is to have this place where I can feel like I'm connecting with you all. So, yeah, hi, my name is Laura. This is my YouTube channel and it's called I Heart Knitting, and this is my 8th episode. So I have a little bit of knitting to show you. I have some spinning to show you. I got something fun in the mail this morning, and at the end I'm gonna, well, yeah, I guess at the end I'm gonna do like a Flosstube as well, which is cross stitching. If you're not, if you don't know what that is. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in any or all of that. I have some Christmas ornaments that I've knit over the years to share with you as well. So yeah, so we'll just get into it here. So this is my coffee mug today. This is by Steph of OMDL Coastal. She used to live here on the island, and now she lives on Vancouver Island, we call it the Big Island, and does screen printed t-shirts. I'm actually wearing one underneath the sweater, and has just recently been starting to do things like these little mugs and stickers and things. So yeah, I really love that. It's got a little lumberjack. They're all very West Coast inspired designs, and it's one of those little enamel camp mugs. This was a gift from a friend. What I'm wearing today, this is my neon Lopi sweater. So it has this beautiful neon yoke. I was visiting my family who lives in Ontario. My mom is a weaver, and we went to Camilla Valley Yarns, which is a really great shop where I believe they do a lot of online too. You should definitely check them out. My mom loves them for weaving supplies. If you're a weaver, I would definitely recommend checking them out. I think they do the Jameson's Shetland yarn as well. And yeah, so we were there and they had this neon Lopi, and I'd never seen it before, and I was just like, oh my gosh, John, this is amazing. To my husband, he was there too, and I was sitting there and he literally just grabbed one ball of every color and put them in my arms, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna make a sweater with this, you know. So I was there and also picked out this charcoal color, and then I knit this sweater, which I love. It's the full-size Lopi, so the original Lopi, the bulky weight, and I used a pattern out of this book. So this is the Knitting with Icelandic Wool book. If you're interested in Icelandic wool and Icelandic knitting, I would definitely recommend picking this up. It is a big book, but it has a whole lot of history, really beautiful photos. These are the kind of knitting books I like. They're almost like coffee table books, but they also have great patterns. So I've actually knit 2 patterns out of here. So this one is just called Alafos. That's the pattern name. And it's got this snowflake design, which I really like, and then just some zigzags. And I did an I-cord bind off on it rather than like doing a ribbed collar, which was gonna kind of hit really high up on my neck. There aren't always short rows in Lopi sweaters. This one doesn't have any short rows. So for me, it kind of like will ride up a bit on the front. So yeah, so I ended the pattern a tiny bit earlier and did an I-cord bind off. But I think other than that, it was just a pattern. It's a bit long too. I might have made it a little longer. It kind of hits like halfway down my butt. So I really love this sweater. It comes out on really cold days. I used to wear it to work. I worked at a hardware store up until earlier this year, and I would wear it on the really, really cold days because the hardware store had no central heat in it. Again, I live in a rural area. There was just one wood stove, and it was like a massive, massive, well, not massive, not massive by, you know, anyone, you know, who's used to a big box store, but it was a really big open room that was trying to be heated by this teeny tiny little wood stove. Anyways, so this came in really handy for that. And yeah, I really like this Lopi yarn. It's great. Like, I think it's just such amazing wool. And yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm wearing. And I have an update on my City Limits sweater because I've been looking at it and thinking about it, and I just decided that I'm not doing these yarns justice, especially the 3 colors on the bottom. This is yarn by Euphoria Knits, Janessa from Texas. And I don't like this line here, and it's right across my boobs, and anyways, not good. So I kind of stopped working on it. I picked up the sleeve and started knitting, and I was just, you know, when you know something's not right, you know, I could have kept going, but I kind of knew in my heart that I had to switch it around a little bit. And then I remembered that this is the same dyer. I have this other colorway, which to me is going to be a perfect bridge. So I've decided I'm going to rip this back basically to where I split the sleeves off. And it's going to be such a pain because, you know, I have the 2 strands held here that I'm probably going to have to figure out how to separate, but it's going to be worth it in the end because I'm going to like this sweater better in the end. So yeah, I'm going to rip it back, and then I'm going to eliminate one of these colors and start from there again. So let me know which ones you think I should keep in. I'm thinking about maybe eliminating this color, maybe the bright blue. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, if you have any opinions on this, if you've knit this before, this is actually inside out right now because I'm knitting the sleeve. It's going to be shown on the purl side, but yeah, so a little update there. I put that aside so I could think about it, and now that I've thought about it, I know what I'm going to do. So you can look forward to seeing some progress being made on that soon, because usually what happens is, like, if I'm not happy with something, then I pull it out and I start again, and when it works, I'm so excited for the pattern again, and I'm so ready to have it finished, or, you know, like, so ready to kind of see how it goes once it's back on track again, that usually it doesn't take me very long to finish it at all. So yeah, so that's going to happen. That's my new color that I'm going to put in. This is called Mermaid Tears, I think. And it's just a little teeny tiny bit of speckles in there, but that'll be fine. So yes, update on that. This is what happens with knitting sometimes, you know, it doesn't always end up the way you pictured it. So yes, so update on the City Limits. And I have a new sock project on the go, which has been really fun. I know I showed you my yarn choices last week or whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, for my Christmas yarn, and I ended up picking, to start first, I'm doing this colorway by Vivid Yarn Studio. So this is a colorway from a couple years ago called Sleigh Bells, and it has a gray base, whitish gray, and then there is this aqua blue and like a reddy pink and some darker like navy black speckles. And so it's great because it's, you know, it's like festive, but it's not, you know, it's not red and green. So I always like having Christmas socks that I can kind of wear year round without them looking super Christmassy. So actually, though, these aren't for me. I decided I'm going to give them away. I have a friend in mind who I think is going to really like these. So I finished one already, and I'm hoping to get the other one finished for Christmas. So I cast that on and just knit a couple rows. That's my second sock. But yeah, I really like this. It's really nice color, and I like how it's kind of micro striping here. Like kind of like little candy cane stripes. And then this pinky bright color is actually one of the minis that came with my Leo and Roxy set that I opened on camera last episode, and it just fit perfectly, and so I thought I would do the toe. So you can see it's a little big. Their feet are a little bit bigger than mine, so these don't quite fit on my blockers. And so because of that, I decided to do the heel flap and gusset, which will give you a little bit more room sometimes in your foot here than a slip stitch heel. So that was just kind of like another way to give it a bit more space for the intended person, because their foot is a bit bigger than mine. And then I did 64 stitches on 2.5 millimeter needles instead of 2.25, which is what I would do for myself. So my feet are like 7.5 and 8. And so I would normally do 64 stitches on 2.25 for myself. And then these are going to be about an 8.5, 9. So I've done 64 on 2.25 or 2.5, excuse me. So yes, fun half object for you. That's really all I've been working on. I've been wanting to kind of get some progress made on those. Now I know I have, you know, plenty of time to get them finished, and I'm thinking I might actually start those self-striping socks that I showed you as well from the Freckled Whimsy yarn, which was the Peppermint Mocha colorway. There was someone on my Instagram who was knitting them, and they just finished them the other day and posted, and I was like, oh, I think I want to make those too. So we'll see how much time I have before Christmas. I find that if I start Christmas socks, you know, like one year, I think it was the year before last, I did Christmas socks for my Christmas Eve cast on, and they ended up sitting for almost the full year until Christmas came around again. So, you know, I realized, yeah, start your, you know, Christmas theme projects earlier, and then they'll be done in time for Christmas that year. Otherwise, for me, I think they're just going to end up sitting for another year. So, yeah, so that's done. And I've done some spinning as well. Yeah, here, I'll show you the spinning, and then I will show you what came in the mail today, because that's exciting. So, remind me. So yeah, I've done some spinning here. I think I showed you this one last time, but I don't think I had washed it yet. So this is a single ply yarn. I did this on my spinning wheel, and this is done from rolags that I made on my blending board. And I think it's a mix. There's Corriedale wool, yeah, and then the merino and silk. So the Corriedale is the brown, and then the merino silk is the mixed greens and blues. And yeah, so that's just this really nice single ply. What did I end up with? I have 2 ounces and 110 yards. So it's kind of like a DK worsted-ish. And yeah, really happy with how that turned out. This was my practice to try pure merino, which is a little harder to spin, and I end up making this beautiful yarn. I'm pretty sure I showed you this on the bobbin last time, but now it is finished and washed, which is awesome. I think I talked about this last time. Merino yarn can be more difficult just to draft evenly versus, you know, a Corriedale or a longer staple wool. So yeah, you know, really wanted to concentrate on trying to get a nice, it's still thick and thin, but a fairly even single. And then also you want your yarn to be really nice and balanced when it's a single ply. So if you see here when I hang it, it doesn't twist. Like if it had too much twist in it, it would actually want to twist back around on itself. So yeah, I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out. it looks great, especially considering how little I've been spinning this year. I've probably only spun, you know, a few ounces of yarn this year before these projects. This is Joma Yarn, which is now Subculture Yarn. This is their roving. I'm not sure if they're dyeing roving anymore. It was something that you could only kind of get at certain shops when they were Joma Yarn. They've switched their name to Subculture, and to be honest, I'm not sure if they still do the roving, but I really love their colors. They're local out of Victoria, so definitely check out Subculture if you've never heard of her before. I think I met her originally at Fibrations, which is a little fiber festival they do in Victoria normally, not this year. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that yet. I think it'll probably be a hat or a pair of mittens, or maybe both. I probably have enough because this is 4 ounces to do a hat and a pair of mitts. So pinks and purples and blues and grays. So yeah, that was nice to get off the wheel. I have, I forgot to bring it in. I have a 2-ply going on there now. So what I've done is I had a gradient bat that was about 50 grams, and I had a bat that was more solid black with some sparkle in it that was 50 grams. So what I'm doing now is I'm spinning each one of those. I've spun the gradient already, it's done, and then I'm just finishing up spinning the other one, and then I'm going to ply them together, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be like a marled gradient. So the black, the darker, is going to go through the whole skein, but then I'm going to get this gradient flow going as well. Yeah, so I think that's going to be a really cool effect. If you've never knit with hand spun, it's just, I just always say hand spun yarn is magic. It really, it does not look like hand dyed, you know, or like indie dyed yarn at all. It has its own feel, and especially because of the way that the skeins are often, or the roving is often dyed beforehand, you get these really beautiful effects, especially when you ply together two different plies and spin them together to make a 2-ply yarn, or several plies, 3-ply, anything like that. Hand spun's special, and I really love being able to do that next kind of level of creating the yarn. One of my goals, I think it was a goal for this year, but it didn't happen, but one of my goals is to spin a sweater, spin and knit a sweater. So, you know, I'm not that consistent yet with my spinning, and it's a little overwhelming to try and spin, you know, if you have a finite amount of roving that you need to spin and make a really good, consistent several skeins of yarn that aren't going to change your gauge too much over a sweater. So yeah, it's a little scary, but I can do it. I'll be fine. Yeah, so, you know, maybe that'll become a 2021 project, since 2020 is pretty much wrapped at this point. I'm not going to spin and knit a sweater in the next few weeks, I don't think. Yeah, so I did post a video last week, I'm not sure if you saw, on drop spindling. So it's just a little kind of short tutorial thing, if that interests you at all. And yeah, it's on drop spindling and kind of how to use a drop spindle and how to draft your yarn. You know, it's my first tutorial. It's not fantastic, but if you were ever curious about spinning or spinning on a drop spindle, that would be a great thing to check out. And there's tons of other YouTube videos out there that are probably like better and more professional than mine as well. So if you are interested, it's a really cool craft. Drop spindle is a really approachable way to learn how to spin. Yeah, so a spinning wheel is like several $100s, where a drop spindle, I think I paid maybe $20 or $30 for mine, and it was like a locally handmade turn drop spindle. So you could probably find even less expensive drop spindles. I just paused and started my video again. The reason why I haven't been doing recorded videos lately is there's some sort of glitch on my phone where it wants to split my videos up into half-hour chunks. And when it does that, like, it'll automatically split it for me and continue recording, but then my audio doesn't match up. And it gets kind of choppy at the end. So hopefully this is gonna work. I'm learning as I go here. It's been fun to learn something new, but YouTube is, you know, it can be a little overwhelming for someone who hasn't ever edited videos or done recordings or anything before. So hopefully that helps. Anyways, I'm going to move on to stash acquisition. Very excited about this. I ordered this a while ago from Stressknits. I got this beautiful skein of yarn from one of their updates. This is called Succulents, and it's on their favorite base. This is Stressknits' favorite base, and this is actually my favorite sock base too. So if you don't know about Stressknits, she has a great YouTube channel as well, podcast that she does, and she dyes yarn in like a really specific kind of color palette, which I actually really appreciate, because the thing about that is she dyes colors that she absolutely loves, which means, like, in my head, if you're dyeing a colorway that you're not fond of personally, you know, you might not put quite as much love into it as, you know, your favorite color that you're dyeing. Anyway, so Stressknits, I'm totally blanking on her name right now. I think it's Stacy. Stressknits does a really specific color palette, and this mint is definitely like one of her color jams, you know? So this is like a really, really light white to minty green, and then there's these beautiful speckles in here. There's a lot of kind of ochre yellow, like rich yellow. There's a little bit of like a navy blue in there going through, and then there's also like this little pop of pink, which is so pretty. So yeah, I just ran down to the post office today and waited in line to pick this up. And so this was just a little bonus skein for me, because I was ordering from, like, Stressknits is in the States, so, you know, if you're going to pay for shipping to Canada and, you know, order in US dollars, I'm like, well, I've got to throw a skein in there to make it worthwhile. And then the other thing that I got is, sorry about the crinkling, but this is my advent calendar. I got a 7-day advent from Stressknits, and I have to say I really appreciate that that was offered, because especially this year with launching my business and essentially like providing my own income now, I couldn't really afford to do you know, a several $100 advent. And that's not to say that they're not worth it, because I know they are. And I've dyed yarn before, like casually. I have friends who have had yarn dyeing businesses, and it's not easy. So it's not that I want to say that they're charging too much for these advents. The work that goes into them is insane, all the packaging and everything, but I just really, really appreciate this 7-day advent, because it was just that much more affordable for me. There's Sammy in the background. Yeah, so I haven't, you know, I'm not going to open these quite yet. Like, they're all kind of packed up like that. That's day 7. And I have 20 gram minis, 7 of them to open on the 7 days leading up to Christmas. So that'll be fun. Just a little surprise. And we'll see what happens. Like, if this, I was thinking, if this skein matches what came out of the advent calendar really well, I might try and find some sort of project using this and then some minis. I know there's lots of projects out there that use like one skein and multiple minis. But I'm not going to decide what I'm going to do with the yarn until I see it. I don't want to start a project and then open up the yarn and realize, oh, you know, they don't flow very nicely from day to day or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to open them and, I don't know, put them in a little pile and squish them, and then and then I'll decide what to do with them after. So yeah, we'll see if that this guy might just match all the other ones in there. You know, especially because Stressknits does such a specific colorway kind of color palette. So yeah, that's probably the last thing that I'm gonna get in the mail before Christmas. I ordered some spinning fiber from a friend who just launched their shop, and that's in the mail now too. So that will be exciting, and hopefully that shows up. I'm gonna at least record one more episode before Christmas. I might take a break, you know, in that week between Christmas and New Year's, but who knows, maybe I'll have some fun things to show you. My birthday's on Boxing Day, so I kind of go like all year without, you know, having a present from, you know, for a birthday or Christmas. Like some people have their birthday mid-year, and then I have this like onslaught, which is wonderful. I really appreciate having family who don't combine my Christmas and birthday gifts. They're really careful about that. My mom's birthday is very close to Christmas. It's before Christmas, about 10 days before as well. So she knows what it's like. I have something super fun to show you. I have a little bin. I went around my tree and pulled out as many handmade Christmas ornaments as I could. And I thought I would show you, you know, some little handmade ornaments, decorations that I have on the tree. They're really kind of special. I still use Christmas balls and things, but I'm really trying to also make a few ornaments every year and try and add to, like, you know, the more handmade and unique things. So I have a bunch of these on the tree. I just pulled 3 of them, but I just pulled 3 to show you these little mittens, which are super cute. So it looks like, you know, this looks like it's like heavy worsted weight yarn. This looks like it's DK probably. I think I made a sweater out of that years ago. And this was dyed by my friend Rowie of Pirates Yarn. She's not dyeing anymore, but she dyed that. So this pattern is called Smitten, and it is supposed to be for like a holiday garland, like advent calendar. And I remember years ago I pulled I think I pulled 24 colors and was going to knit 24 of these, and it didn't happen. I ran out of steam. So I think I probably have like 7 or 8 up there, which is great. But yeah, so I ended up just grabbing an ornament hook and just feeding it through. You know, you could just use your scrap yarn as well if you want. And these just look so cute on the tree, and they'd be so great to like add to a gift for someone or something like that. So little mittens. So yeah, that pattern is on Ravelry. It's called Smitten, and I believe it's free pattern. And something else I do is I just put little tiny skeins of yarn on my tree. So when you're plying 2 different like bobbins of yarn together, you know, it's really rare that you'd have the exact same amount of yardage spun onto each bobbin when you're then spinning them, again, plying them together to combine them. So you always end up with these little leftover bits. And what I do is I do a chain ply, which is a technique where you are turning 1 ply of yarn into 3. I can't go into that now because it's complicated, but it's a thing, chain ply, look it up. And then I just roll them up into these little mini skeins. And again, stick an ornament hook in them, and I throw them on the tree. So, you know, you could do that. You could make little balls of yarn. You could roll little balls of yarn out of your leftovers, or, you know, make these little hanks. I think they're cute. Thank goodness my husband doesn't care that I have little tiny skeins of yarn all over the tree. And, you know, when we have people over, not in 2020, you know, like people kind of notice these little handmade ornaments and always comment on them, so it's fun. I have these little socks that I knit. So this colorway here is Long Dog yarn. This is one of their really old holiday colorways that I got a long time ago. And then this colorway is, this is Vivid Yarn Studio, and I think it's called Gingerbread House or something like that. And then these are, I think they're 32 stitch, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. They might even be like 24 stitches. Oh my gosh. So either way, just knit a teeny tiny little sock. I did a little teeny tiny fish lips kiss heel and then a little toe. And I made a bunch of these, I think it was 2 years ago. And what I would do is if I was at someone's house for like a Christmas party and I brought my knitting, I would knit a little sock and then I would leave it on their tree. So sometimes I'd tell them and sometimes I'd just hang it on the tree and run away. But it's really fun, and yeah, they just take a few hours to make. You know, they're just something you could do while you were chatting, and yeah, and then you can guerrilla decorate your friends' trees if you like. So another just fun way to use scraps, and they're just so cute, these wee little socks. So yeah, I think let me just count here once more. 1, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think they're a 24 stitch little sock. So I don't think this is a pattern. I think I just kind of cast on, yeah, it's like 5 rounds of ribbing and maybe like 15 rounds until I did the sock foot. And any baby sock pattern would work great if you weren't comfortable doing your own sock pattern. And yeah, they're just fun. Who doesn't love tiny things? I have a bunch of these little Christmas balls as well that I've done. So these are the same 2 colorways as the sock that I showed you. And then I also have a set of 3 patterned ones that I made with that pink and aqua long jog yarn, and then like a charcoal solid. So these are also super fun to make. They do not take very long. You know, the color work's really satisfying because it's only like this little tiny bit and then you're done. Here, I'm just gonna quickly look up the pattern name for you here. I locked my computer. So the pattern is called Balls Up, and it's by General Hog Buffer. And that's something I found on Ravelry as well. There are lots of different holiday balls patterns. What ended up happening with these is they were supposed to fit a styrofoam, 3-inch styrofoam ball, I think is what they called for. But mine ended up being a little smaller. And I had ornaments on my tree that like perfectly fit. So I know you can stuff them, but I kind of like when they're perfectly round like this. So these are just plain white ornaments that I've wrapped around. So you knit the majority of them. You take the ball and you kind of fit it on, and then it is a little awkward to do the last few decrease rounds because you are knitting on, like directly onto this hard ball. But if you use magic loop, that's really helpful. What I like about this though is you can pop this little tab off and then stick it back on, and then it really does look like an ornament. These are a really fun gift too. And you know, we all have those kind of like not so great color ornaments that you wouldn't mind covering up. So yeah, there's, you know, you could use styrofoam or you could stuff them with like polyfiller or anything like that. But if you can find a little Christmas ornament that fits, this is a nice way of kind of making them look a little finished. Yeah, so I might make some more of these. I've, you know, made some of these as gifts as well in the past. You know, maybe once I'm done those vivid socks, I'll knit up a few more ornaments. You know, it'd be fun to have an ornament made with like all the Christmas colorways I've had over the years. And then my teeny tiny sweater, which I love so much. You have no idea how much joy this gives me. I literally hang it like right here so that when I'm sitting on the couch, I get to see it all the time because I don't know why, it's just so dark cute. Did I look up this pattern? I believe I found this pattern on Ravelry as well. I'm just gonna do a quick scroll because I have my laptop here with Ravelry open and see if I can find it quickly. Yes, here it is. because I did use a pattern. Okay, so it's called the mini sweater ornament with cables, but obviously I didn't do the cables. And I think she might have some other hacks, but it's just this teeny little top-down sweater. And I only have one of these, but I think I'd like to make some more. This colorway is another long dog yarn, actually. I totally go through phases with dyers, and I went through a long dog phase a couple years ago. And I think it was called, it might have been called like Sugar Cookies or something like that. And it was like their December color of the month. I don't think it was specifically Christmas, but it was supposed to be kind of that idea. And I took an ornament hook and I made like this teeny tiny little little coat hanger. And I don't know why I love it so much, but I just do. So a little bit of inspiration for you, some quick projects. They make great gifts. And yeah, they're just really fun. Good for using up bits and pieces. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is just a little bit of cross stitching that I've been doing. I started this the other night, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I just thought I'd show you this as well. It's this little teeny tiny gingerbread house, and it's going to be a snow globe. So I have to do like a big band down here for the base of the snow globe. And then there's like a dome here that you stitch in. And then I still have to fill in, there's a Christmas tree that goes here. I still have to do the front door and some of the colors in the gingerbread house. And I think the snowman needs a little pom-pom. But it's been a really fun little project I've been doing over the last 2 or 3 nights. And this is by, the pattern's by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, which they do just really cute little patterns. And like, not that I don't like something a bit more complex, but I really love these kind of simple designs. They're kind of my jam when it comes to cross stitching, kind of color blocking and things. I'm using, it's hard to tell here, but I'm using 14 count Aida cloth that has some metallic red thread shot through it. And yeah, so it's a little bit festive. Sorry, it's 11 count Aida, it's not 14 count. I don't know if I've ever worked on 11 count before. I think I normally do work on 14 count, which is a bit smaller. That's like 14 stitches per inch versus 11 stitches per inch. And it was fine. I just had to be a little bit more conscious about not pulling too hard on the embroidery thread, just because there is, you know, you just need to leave a bit more thread because it's going over a bigger area. And I'm using mostly these Sublime Stiches floss. So Sublime Stiches, I think, is out of the States, but I got their floss. I got a bunch of sets from Studio 39 Fabrics. They do some of their embroidery stuff, and Sublime Stitching, they just have really fun designs. I think I got some iron-on transfers from them as well. And yeah, like, I'm using really crappy thread here for the white, and it's amazing. I can tell the difference. This is the only white I could find, the only pure white, and this is kind of creamy background, so I really wanted to make sure that you can see the white. But it's not good floss, and I can tell the difference. Like, I'm not, I did a lot of cross stitching when I was a kid. I don't know a lot about good materials with cross stitching, but I can just tell that these are definitely nicer than my cheapy thread that I probably got at Michael's or something like that. And yeah, as you can tell, I don't have a fancy frame. This is like a plastic frame that I'm pretty sure my grandmother gave me when I was like 10. So it works. So yeah, I think I'm gonna turn that into, I think I'm gonna frame it. I have a tiny frame somewhere, and it looks like it's gonna be about 4 by 5 or something like that, so it'll work for a frame. Yeah, so I've just been all over the place crafting, obviously. I also started finishing. I'm also finishing up a quilt, so I don't know. I'm all over the place. I'm just going with it. I'm not really putting too much pressure on myself to do anything. I have no Etsy shop business this week or updates or anything. I'm taking a break from adding things to the shop just because we're so close to Christmas, and you know, postage, like the mail just slows down this time of year, and yeah, I just figured I'm gonna take some time off. So that's been really nice, and I've just been kind of doing my own thing, and doing a bit of work on the house, that sort of thing. We put in a new sliding door off our bedroom because the old one was a steel frame and just not good, old and falling apart. And yeah, just trying to stay cozy and you know, try to keep smiling. I miss my family. My family's in Ontario, but what can you do, right? So yeah, I hope that you are all also staying cozy and happy, and I hope that you're feeling safe and comfortable, and that yeah, I just hope you're all doing well. And I was gonna talk about a knit along, but I feel like this is going a bit long. So I'll talk about that next time, because I want to do something starting on New Year's Day, like on the first day of 2021. And I don't know, so I'm thinking about calling it like a fresh start, or, you know, New Year or something like that, and just let you interpret that however you want. You know, if you want to start something over that's not working so well for you, or if you want to start something brand new. I just think it might be a nice kind of cleansing thing to start something on the 1st of January. So let me know what you think about that, and let me know what sort of crafting you've been doing, what you've been doing to keep yourself entertained. And yeah, I will be back with you in like a week to 10 days. And then we'll be getting really close to the holidays. My husband's going to take some time off from work, so that'll be really nice. So yeah, I hope you're doing really well. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.